Good night, people. Good night. Good night. Good
Oh,
night.
there.
Good night. Good night. Good night. Let me
Good
fix my
night.
ear. Let me make myself look presentable for the people. Then, all
Good
right.
night. Good night.
So
Good
let me do
night.
my
Good night.
intro. Let
Nighttime,
me do
people.
my
Nighttime.
intro as usual. Let me do my intro here. So I want bigger Allery Media Productions because them has got me looking so pretty as an intro. Well, when I'm waiting for me to appear. We've got me nice little 80s retro vehicles going in the sunset. That's remind me of Top Gear. I don't know if Keita the old enough to know about Top Gear, but
Of course. I gotta draw over the far now.
yeah, I just saying, I'm
Telling
not
me.
using baby at the group here. But anyhow,
So,
it is another Thursday night. It feel like if you here just last week. But this is up and say this is up and
wow.
say powered by Allery Media Production. Anyway, it did. So I just want to say that this is the Up and Say Your podcast where each week we get up and say your business, we get up and say your beliefs, we get your life, we come in your bedroom, wherever it is that you got, that you comfortable, that's where we come. We analyzing issues affecting Barbados and the world today. I am your host Chad, and I here so with three important people. I here so with Tyrone, every girl. If in fact, don't let me say that there because I want to get my man in trouble. I just got a smart thing to
Thank
say.
you very
I can
much.
say
I
that.
appreciate it.
I can say
I
that.
appreciate it very much. Thank you
I
very,
can say
very
for
much.
Keita. What you can say for Keita though? And I hear with Keita, the girls then love to wrap up with he like Peter. Jesus, please, like
You,
right now. Yo,
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 Peter
yo.
bread.
Yeah, like Peter Bride. So
Uh,
and we got and because I is a gentleman, I can say nothing about Janelle. But Janelle, thank you for joining Sunday. You know, last week you was a little under the weather. How you feeling now? How you feeling now? I
I
think
feel much
you ready to
better.
get your
Listen to
vaccine?
me last
Get your
week.
vaccine?
Pardon? What's that? What's that? What
Vaccine?
vaccine? No, the last vaccine I had to get was a tetanus shot. I get.
Oh shoot! Oh shoot!
Oh shoot. But yeah, man, I'm much better though. Last week, look, I was puking up my guts and I don't know what was wrong. But I'm much better today, and I'm happy to be here. I know y'all
Oh,
missed me
that's
last
good.
week. I miss
Yeah, we
y'all.
did.
That's
Definitely did.
I miss
Last week
y'all.
was
Yeah,
we missed out on all
we
female touch
had
last week for sure.
it was just an all boys party. That's like we don't
Mm.
like it as a bill. Talk to all of them.
Oh
Yeah, but
man.
no, we got you here
Yes.
so for this topic tonight, which is a jab or not to jab. That is the question. So, Peter, you know, I like to start with you. I like to put you on the spot early. Jab or no jab, because you got a little story that you should share with the people with your most recent situation. You know, every week when we come around, you've got something new to share with we. Some experience or the other that's very
Something.
close to the actual topic. So, talk to me, man.
I know it goes topic, but I had a what they call a COVID scare or COVID dope this week where the gym I go to somebody tested positive, so I actually had to do a COVID test Tuesday evening. To be honest, I can understand why people are afraid of the tests because of the objects and stuff being in the nose. To me, it wasn't that bad that people make it seem, but it is what it is. Um, it lasted all of 10 seconds, and I had a split yesterday, really, and got back my results yesterday evening. Tested negative, and supposedly counted my blessings. The It's an interesting experience. I wouldn't like recommend that to anyone if you can avoid it by doing what you're supposed to do what you gotta do. But it's interesting, very very interesting to experience that. Um, because like the people that I went with, like next person knows was itching for like the next hour. Then one person had a headache instantly. For me, I feel as though I've experienced that before. If I blow my nose too hard, I've had that sensation before. So it's I have a lot of allergies, so I've been having nasal itches and hurts before. So I accustomed to that, but it is what it is. I can say it was the process itself in actually getting a test was actually pretty quick. Given that there's so many different things going on out there at gymnasium, with people traveling, people coming for rapid tests, people doing all sorts of different things. But it was a pretty fast process to put it out there.
Uh-huh.
But
All right.
that's it. I mean, I still um still on the bridge. I'm gonna be the person who's 50 tonight. about the job or no job. So I'll be 50-50 tonight about the job or no job, and I'll be listening to see everybody else's points and so on about it.
All right. Tyrone, what was your situation? You would have taken part in the walk that took place last week, Saturday. You could talk to us about that, your experience with that, what you saw, what you felt, the energy that was there, and how you feel about the job or not the job, which we already know. I think majority of the people that would have interacted with you since that you started coming on and being a host, a co-host, is like, we know where you stand. So
Right.
talk to the people. Talk to the people.
First and foremost, so as it relates to the 789 walk, it was good. I was kind of tentative as it relates to my expectations, the amount of people that would have actually turned out. I do know that there was a very strong sense of discontent amongst certain sections of Barbados as it relates to not just the whole COVID-19 circumstance, but in general, gas prices and prices overall and that kind of thing. So there was a very large set of people who are discontent generally, but this was more focused on the whole mandatory vaccine situation. And I guess you were asked to come out, wear your white, come out and, show your numbers if you are against mandating synthetic experimental drugs into your body. When I got there, I was pleasantly surprised. To be honest with you, it was a pretty large crowd. Was that when I actually started to walk to the side and look down the line and saw how many people were actually ahead of me, I was really, really, really pleasantly surprised. And then some of the conversations that were taking place during the course of the walk showed me that there are a lot of people who are a lot more enlightened about what is happening in this world than I actually thought. Because on a day-to-day basis, I'm very disillusioned with a lot of people who I consider to be my compatriots at certain levels, and I'm very, very disillusioned with their inability to discern for themselves certain things and just regurgitate what they see presented to them in certain forms of mainstream media. They're very, very bogged down by credentialism. Even if the people are even though the people that are preaching to them, basically, because it's preaching no. Because if you can't dissent, if you dissent, you're castled, ostracized, ridiculed, that kind of thing. The people that are preaching to them now, they're high priests and pastors, seem to be what was the Pope before? They used to call it the Pope when anything he said was right. I forget the terminology now that they use for it. And what they don't recognize is that there are people who are just as renowned, whose voices have been either censored, silenced permanently, or completely deplatformed because they're going against the narrative, and just as much people. But I don't want to get into that as a side note. But the conversations that were taking place were very healthy. I appreciated them. The walk went smoothly. There was no incident. I'm happy to say. What I was quite disappointed in is after the speech that took place in Independence, the guy talking, because he was using a megaphone, but obviously everybody, because the crowd was, the nation estimated, I think, either the nation or Barbados, they estimated like 2,000 people. Or it could have been much larger than that, but
Okay.
that was the estimate. But a walk is going to take place, it's going to end somewhere. So everybody is there, they're gathering, they're listening to the guy talk. But then obviously the police came in, and then it's a gathering. Surprise, surprise! It's a gathering, and you got to disperse, or whatever the case would be. One of the organizers was like, "Yeah, let me walk back down." I mean, one way or the other, the starting point was Pelican Village. So one way or the other, that large group of people who would have parked their cars and vehicles would have had to walk back down to get back down there either way. So he was like, yeah, they walk back down. So the group decided to walk back down. I guess we were called together. Either way, they had to walk back down. Everybody would have been going in the same direction anyhow. The police began to intervene in that.
It's not a gathering. You walk back.
You could block off certain pathways. I was disappointed in the people that I was working with because. Sorry.
No, I was asking if it's not a gathering when you're walking back as well, or
Sorry?
when you're walking. It can. No, I was trying to understand the logistics of it being a gathering.
Yeah,
I ain't really sure if he's still live at this point, people.
I see. I just not saw. I
I'm
just
not
not saw
sure at this
something.
point. First,
See,
walking up was smooth. We was good. We was good walking up. But walking back down, yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay.
probably getting a delay on separate things. But go ahead and continue with what you're saying, Tyrone.
Alright, my thing is saying, I don't know if one could still hear me, but my thing is telling me I've lost my connection. My thing is telling me I need to reconnect. Anyone can hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Oh,
We can hear you.
I want to hop back in.
Yeah. All right. So while Tyrone,
I went Tyrone go and come back in.
yeah, and Janelle, you could go ahead and give your piece until Tyrone land back.
No problem. Well, funny enough, I was also at the walk, and I saw my comrade Tyrone there. And as he was saying, I was very it was pleasantly surprising to have seen so many persons there, all types of different persons. I even saw Adventists there, and that was a Saturday morning, and Adventists don't break their Sabbath, but I guess it was really to be in solidarity on the point. My reasoning for being there will not being the same as Tyrone's. My reason there was really that I am pro-choice. I believe that you should have a choice. My mother would allude to the fact that you do have a choice, although things are mandatory. So vaccinations, or I should say immunizations, are mandatory. But persons are exempted from them.
Apologies, people.
No problem.
You good there, brother? When
I was just that I was at the march as
Janelle
well.
wrap up, you could hop back on.
Easy.
Yeah, so as Tyrone would have said, though, it was really good to see so many persons there. And for me, I believe that you should have a choice regardless. I am in solidarity for persons who may not have the financial position to be forced into such a choice. If there is that they don't want to be vaccinated, then you're telling them that they have to be tested regularly. And the disparity between the fact that persons who are vaccinated and the ones who are not vaccinated, those persons don't have to be tested, but they can still have the thing as well. So it was really there to support the choice that persons should have. And I really was happy to see that there were so many different types of people there. So they're Black, white, Indian, Chinese, it didn't matter. Different groups were being represented, heavily represented as well. And I really just if the guy's name is Abdul, I can't remember his surname, the guy who was speaking. But what Keita was asking Tyrone was if it was a gathering when we were walking back down, but it wasn't, because the whole thing is that you could march. It was a march, but when you were all in one space, then they called it a gathering, and then you can't have a gathering or a protest without permission and without social distancing. But it wasn't really any, like, people weren't like bunched up together. If you saw persons, there were groups of the people who they would have walked with. So then in walking back down, you were walking back down. Really, it was that. What really had me though was the media's thing of it on the latter half of the walk. How they portrayed it, it made it seem as though it was like these people just went and do as a like. There was one case I didn't agree with what the person went up by a business and they were calling out the workers. They don't agree with that. But before you had even gone into that, it just seemed as though you're villainizing the persons who would have been at the walk. And it took away from the point of the walk. I really did not like that presentation that would have been there. But Tyrone, you could jump back in.
Yeah, I was just saying we was walking back down, and then we were going back the same road, I guess, that we would have come. And then the police were intervening at some points because I guess the walking back down was I don't know if it was not allowed or if it was not permitted or what, but the police were coming, seemingly blocking off pathways to walk the same road that you walk up to walk right back down. So then the people took it upon themselves to, divert themselves, using different paths to get back to Pelican Village, because we turned then down through by St. Mary's Church, went down by the back of the main guard, ended up down through the Orleans, down through Kensington Lodge, come out there by the Nation, all the way around by the Fontainebleau. There was a slight standoff on Harbour Road where the police stopped one of the organizer guys, a tall rascal dude, and was asking him questions. I don't know if it was about permission or what, but I mean, people were walking, and then eventually that subsided and the walk continued, I guess, and they went down and finished that Pelican Village. I don't know what happened after, because I actually turned off into Chafet with a couple of buddies of mine I was walking with, but I don't know what happened when it got down to Pelican Village. I saw the same thing Janelle mentioned as about the whole people going by Lena Sea Hill and thing, and I don't agree with that either. I saw that in a video clip. I knew nothing of that. That's the truth. But for the most part, it was completely incident free. I don't think that four police officers should have. The crowd should have allowed four police officers to divert that entire crowd based on some of the stuff I saw in video clips from some other islands where entire army units were called out and the people still did their thing and jammed. You know what I mean? So I don't think that crowd should have allowed four army officers, just because you could have caused incident by trying to disperse a pretty large crowd. That's nonsensical. If people are walking and going to an end, let them go to their end. Why would you try to divert the crowd, to disperse them, to turn a large crowd into a fracas? I mean, I don't know. But basically, it was you dispersing people to create a mob. When everybody was together heading in one direction and it was coming to an end, you just stopping people, so they just diverted themselves peacefully to finding other avenues to walk together to get back to Pelican Village, and that's what happened going back down there. Then I guess the last part of your question, Shad, was as it relates to the whole jab and no jab. First and foremost, I will say this: we are not in and have never been in what is being described to most and what most people subscribe to being a pandemic. So what we have is a case demic based on the assay or test that people are using in mass to say positive, cases being a pandemic.
Right.
But the thing about that is, as long as you test positive for the supposed virus, and then you die of whatever, whether it be yourself, on people say, 4 million people dead in the world, and how much, 600,000 in America dead, and think you've seen no notches on the death rates in the world. You've seen no notches. They've not moved. Same thing. Why?
Yeah, you.
Why?
I get you 100% there, but you know, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
We should have notches on the death rates in countries. Look at Barbados. We had what? Supposedly 40 people dead. 2016, in 2016, the year 2016, not the year 2020, and 8 months into 2021. 8 months into 2021, we had 48 people dead from a pandemic. In what? 12 and another 8 months, 20 months, right? We have 40 people dead. 2016, 51 people died of respiratory conditions via WHO in Barbados. In 2016 alone, 51 people died from respiratory issues in Barbados. In the whole of 2020 and a large part of 2021, we have 48 people dead from a supposed pandemic and enough cases. Are we in a pandemic? I mean, come on. So that should answer you as it relates to me going to take anything to protect me from a pandemic.
We get some feedback.
We getting some feedback. Turn off. Turn your mic. Mute your mic. That boy probably gonna use the bathroom. Right. So, Tyrone,
Yes, sir.
you said that you turned into Chevette. You went Chevette. You went Chevette.
I turn into Chevette. Yeah, I went to get out pineapple juice.
Oh, so you know that you got a problem with that there. It's your money, but you got a problem with that.
Fair.
Alright. So anyhow, I just
It wasn't my intent, to be honest with you. It wasn't my intent, but the other two fellas that was with me, and I didn't really get up and had anything, so I needed some sugar. So I got pineapple
I
juice.
understand.
That's all
And they
I
won't want
purchased.
you to fall down because outside was pretty hot that day for sure.
For sure.
So I wouldn't want you to get the necessary electrolytes and everything. But I would still get Allery Media Productions to issue you a warning letter so that you will know the
Yeah, talk
So,
about. I would
the
say,
normal circumstances, you would say that you were accustomed to this or that sort of thing. Under normal circumstances.
that's our time for what's our procedure.
Yeah.
In normal, that circumstance can never be normal. So I don't know with the expectancy, but the test itself took, I would say, from the time it sat down, the lady time blow my nose in a piece of paper to clear your nose. You clear your nose, you lady stick the swab at your nose, twist it around, take it back out, put it back in the kit or whatever, and that was it. That was it. Thank
Okay.
you. Have a good day.
Okay. That's something I actually need to research on my own though. You know, like what exactly are they going to? Because I know ears, nose, and throat is a department in itself in the hospital. So the same stuff that whatever it is that they're fishing for in there to test. I just wanted to know if it's something that you could gather from another part of the body. They were gonna ask somebody.
You only need simple logic.
You
Because
understand?
you need simple logic because they tell you wear a mask to cover your nose or your mouth because you could or from either orifice and give somebody COVID-19. So why can't I breathe onto something and you test it the same way? Why do you need to go all the way down to my blood-brain barrier? Because that's what is at the back of your nose. A very, 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 I don't want to call it
Thin layer.
thin layer of cells that protects the back of your nasopharynx from
Sinus and
your
everything.
from your brain, from where the bottom of your brain is. And they could if they push that too far, they could break that blood-brain barrier quite easily. You would not even know it.
That's the thing because I know that's a very sensitive area, sensitive space, and that's also another reason to why our bodies create the mucus and the cold and everything to stop anything from going up in there too freely.
Exactly.
Same thing with your ears too, like the wax that is created.
Yeah,
These sorts of
exactly.
things. But I can find out about that.
Exactly.
I can ask
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah,
Happy you said
apparently it is apparently that is where they can best make a distinction between the actual antibody, whatever is of the virus itself, and other viruses, of a regular virus, apparently. But as Tyrone said, I'm very thankful because you know about like African philosophy and Egyptian, like those times they would perform procedures going through your nose. If they had anything in your brain, or if they were mummifying persons, they would extract the brain through the nose. It wasn't a cutting out, open anything. They may have anything to cut your brain. They would do the extraction through there. So I really am not about that either. That's the truth. People always say, not bad is what don't call my name. Kita, we can hit them together. It doesn't matter. Do not call my name.
All right. So Brian B to say something that I wanted to respond to. He said, I am for what individuals want for themselves. If you want conquerors, then cool. If you want a plan, then go for it. But I won't force a store to do anything they don't want. And I was telling him that that's a very common sense answer. But states and governments have been known to place legislation or a few lines of words specifically into the legislation via parliament so that they can always overturn choices for the masses whenever they see fit, or enact something called martial law. Because if the peoples don't want to go in a specific direction that they want you to go, they can enact that, activate that, and then all of a sudden now they have this law that allows them to create that martial law where then the defense force and the police and everything would do whatever they mandate in order for that to happen. So it is obvious that all of us will want each other within a rational mindset and a reasonable mind to make a choice that you believe is best for you, whether I agree that you should take it or I disagree with the taking it. That's just the common sense part. But you know, there's also something I wanted to mention. There was a gentleman who placed on his Facebook. He's one of these people that love to Alliance and Polar, right? I ain't gonna call his name, but he's one of these people that get on Facebook and love to go behind a cause that would get him, I would say, not trampled. You know, like whenever you go against the tide, you usually open up yourself to the masses saying, oh, you shouldn't have said this and you shouldn't have said that. He's usually go along the lines which is safe. So my man was saying that he hoped, and I know that he was saying it in a sarcastic way, that he hoped that the crowd of people who are so selfish to go and march for this mandatory thing don't create another cluster body. And I said to myself, okay, and you know what I wait for? I wait until the weekend done. He posted a photo congratulating people for lining up by the but I don't know, they're so close to the same Charles Robert effect, the lodge where the people was waiting for their turns along the steps. And if you look at how these people positioned, nobody was socially distant. Nobody, well, everybody was not wearing a mask, but he was basically posting that picture to say, bravo to you guys for making the right choice, because you have the best interest of every Barbadian in mind, because you are willing to go forward and take this vaccine. And I wanted to challenge him on that, but I said, you know what, I had a tough Saturday and a tough Sunday, and I said, man, I really want to take you on and bring this into my current week. But these sorts of things go to show you that once that you are steamrolling with the masses and what the masses think that they can say with a proud, loud voice and not be contradicted, or they're not contravening anything that they say otherwise to the people that are on the opposite side, I got a real serious problem with them, you know.
Here's my thing, though. Here's my thing, right? I feel right now with the vaccines and the views on vaccines right now is a big divider of people, and it's more being treated like religion than it is treated more than anything. It's literally being treated like a religion. It's either gonna be all for it or all against it. It's like then in between, people ain't respect anybody else's opinion. That's the whole problem I got with it. Is like people that are great, the people that are pro-vaccine are like, if you don't want a vaccine, you're the worst. You're the criminal. You're a parasite. It is bad. And then they got some people that are anti-vaccine that are trying to embarrass people with vaccines. Maybe it may be for a lack of better knowledge. Maybe it may be a lot of maybe just respect in general. And there's no in between. Like I just posted in the chat, like I am not pro-vaccine. I am not anti-vaccine. I am anti-lockdown, because lockdowns should not be determined based on a freaking vaccine. That's just how I feel. And I know a lot of people right now feel that they know everything they need to know based on what they deem what they call research, or what they consider they have as research. A lot of people are for the vaccine because, I don't want to spread it to my family, not looking at the long term, what it is that you are injecting yourself with. And I know that a lot of people are against the vaccine because they are very, very unsure about it. And it's very easy to be not certain of what a vaccine does when it is a test or when it is something that is now being done for the first time. So it's difficult. That's how I feel about it.
But basically, what you're saying, right, Keita, it comes down to two words: societal warfare. Because when you create a divide that one side is not budging, the other side is not budging, and it creates so much chaos within the community. That's exactly what people in higher places want. Right. So basically, no, we can mandate what we need to mandate because we are at a societal impasse.
Correct.
But all it is people, everybody just want to be right. Everybody got this whole feeling that they need to be right. They need to be right. Then
it's harder from chaos.
Yeah, it's like I feel that I right because I got it. I feel that I right before it. Nobody in catering to saying, well, the real issue here is actually people's choice. You force people to do something that they may not necessarily want to do, or you don't have the choice to do something that we supposed to have human rights. Apparently, I remember that ads I used to show on TV telling about the human rights and everybody got the right to opinion. Everybody
got ads get burned up. Those CBC burning tapes.
But I want to know if that was an overseas thing or if that was a local thing. Like we exempt from human rights. Like what happened to human rights? No doggone treatment there, or that's only when it's beneficial to certain people.
See, what is taking place is mass mental manipulation, because because you get that from. It normally comes from some elitist section of society that comes and tells you will hear certain phrases like greater good, be your brother's keeper. You would hear the words or some form of don't be selfish. The whole is more important than the few. That is what you would hear always coming from anybody who is who wants to use collectivism against the masses. They will use moral guilt tripping because everybody wants to do what they perceive to be good in some form or fashion, and they want to be their brother's keeper. So that is what those people who come from their podiums on high, whether the podiums be on the mainstream forms of media, on billboards, on wherever you can escape this propaganda, all constantly tell you, do this particular thing so that you are a good person. It is manipulation of the mind. So that when people do this thing, they feel that they are doing this thing, they feel good about doing it. Yeah, so because it end up virtue signaling, and then they promote the virtue signaling onto other people because they want you to also be like them. And from the time you are not like them, you are to be ostracized. You're dangerous. You are
unstable.
You're dangerous. You're not in your right mind. How could you not do this? Look at what the people are saying. Experts. But you, Keita, said the right thing. It is religion. And I had some acquaintances of mine tell me the way how I hold my stance, I am the person being religious. But it is so funny because religious, when you look at religion historically, it came from the establishment and it was put onto the masses, right? Mm-hmm. Good. Dissent was not tolerated. They went as far as campaigns, inquisitions, murdering across Europe dissenters. Anybody who was not on board with the religious doctrine of the day, dead. Not ostracized on the platform, dead. It is the same thing that the people who are holding firm to the establishment are doing right now. This is the narrative of the day coming from the establishment. This is what we are holding firm to. You that dissenting, nah, you dangerous, you delusional, you ain't listening, look around and see what's happening. And they at the same and religion historically created the environment where your thought processes were so influenced by what you should believe that to think anything outside of what they gave you in front of you to believe in,
It's heresy.
you were a heretic. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's what people cannot see is the same thing that's happening now. And it was funny to me that somebody told me that I am the person holding a religious stance. It was so funny to me because it's like they are holding on to the establishment point of view, going with what the establishment saying regardless, and no matter anything else is presented to them, they dismiss it as dangerous, dismiss it as lunacy, dismiss it as like conspiracy theory, and the rest of it. Today, I saw a discussion about the guys the presidents and prime ministers who died, right? There were, I think, it's 5 of them, including the guy from Haiti, right?
Yeah.
And the very last one was the president of Madagascar who survived assassination attempt a few weeks ago, right? And all of them had in common a rejection, a minimalization, a skeptic point of view of the pandemic or the vaccination agenda, right? All of them.
Right.
One of the people who are on side with this narrative said, those people that point out this is taught BC, and what if you know what BC is? All of them men had long-standing health issues. That was how they dismissed that perspective presented to them. That all of them had health issues, long-standing health issues. So all of them happened to die within that short space of time, whilst having similar point of views on vaccination and the pandemic. It's uncanny.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence.
How people hold on to this narrative and then would tell you that you are the person delusional. It's uncanny.
Yeah, that
That's
is
very-
something else. Go ahead, Janan.
Okay, and that's what has me as well, because in terms of what Terrell will be speaking about historically, how persons will latch on to religion and you will believe everything that is spewed out to you in religion, because whatever they say is gospel. And funny enough,
Literally gospel.
Literally gospel, right? And throughout history, anything that really would have shaken the foundation of religion would have been things like plagues, things like crises, right? Would have really been what would have been upheaval. And so I was talking to some person recently about explaining to them about the feudal system in Europe and how the underprivileged were kept in place because of religion, because of what the Pope said and what the King said and stuff like that. And if it wasn't for the Black Death, persons would have still been that type of ideology for another century or two. But with the Black Death, you actually had the birth of the Enlightenment period. You actually had a birth of when people started to think for themselves and realize, wait, what the Pope here saying ain't true, and the people, then you had a lot more creativity coming from that. And what was different here now, though, is that capitalism rules supreme.
Yes.
So with capitalism, like everybody wants things to get back to normal. We want to be making money again and stuff like that.
Yes.
So you are going to believe all of the rhetoric that's coming to you. And I'm not saying that what the people who talk about conspiracy, it is not a conspiracy. I'm not saying that what the people are saying to us is so wrong. I'm saying to you is that we believe it because we want to get back to how things were.
Normalcy bias. Yeah.
Exactly. So it doesn't matter what. It doesn't matter. Like that's why people like me, because I ain't want to go and get I'm shot again. One villainize me and stuff. No, my reasonings and yours may not be the same, but at the point at the end of the day, still believe you should have a choice. But people ain't seen it that way. People are looking at their bottom dollar, their bottom line. And then when you look at with the world being so open, because back with Europe and the Black Death, people didn't even know that the Western Hemisphere was there. The people in Europe,
they didn't know it was a thing.
So they even had
it was a thing.
Exactly. So they had a very myopic view of everything. But now it's like you got the whole world at your fingertips. You got all these things happening at your fingertips. You could see things happening in your eyes. But because US rules, Europe rules, and stuff like that, whatever they say, that's what we can go along with. And that is why it's got real takers like, wait, we don't need to be so gullible in this thing. We already don't need to be. But people want the money. They want that. security. Money is security,
Yeah.
and you can
They're willing
only
to give
make
up
money.
safety for security.
Exactly, and that's the same thing with the world leaders. The world leaders, the not the world
Freedom, sorry,
leaders,
freedom.
the other leaders, like the Caribbean leaders and stuff like that. People, you have to be able to survive. You can't only survive if people give you money. If people lending you money, if people giving you vaccines and telling you people gotta be vaccinated because this is a well, not criteria, but not pretty much an ultimatum is like
Prerequisite. Yeah, it's basically ultimatum. Yeah.
exactly. So so because you want your people to be happy with you and you want to get re-elected again, you don't want issues, you are going to do whatever those people want. That's what I just get saying. I just get disillusioned by how disillusioned our people are. Somebody tell me should not get so disappointed because I mean will have high expectations, but I just thought that we would do better, we would know better, and not villainize each other because they don't need for it.
Well, people in other countries cracking heads and also
And
everything.
shooting people.
And we just second it. So
The thing about it
We're
is
talking
that
about other countries.
it's like Parliament all over again. It just believe everything the politicians tell you. You don't do the research for yourself, and then be surprised a couple years down the line that well you agreed to years ago they happened. It's all be like politics really. So it's just really seeing it over and over. But just
Before
just think that the division
Go ahead,
about the division. No, I just think the division against amongst the people about it.
on health,
It was really the hurting factor because like we talk about it this week, they're more stressed out impacting on people right, from so much different things is at all time high. Right? And it's like you got enough things to stress about already, but we focusing on trying to prove somebody else wrong and stressed about that. That's literally what is stress. Additional stress.
Before you do go on, Chan, and to kind of put another thing on the table that I think a lot of people are not really making consideration of when you remove choice, right? Because one, I've seen a social experiment. I think it's on YouTube that people could go and look for. I can't remember the total amount of people that were interviewed. A lot of people were interviewed, and the large volume of them were in agreement of putting away unvaccinated people, putting them away, like literally locking them up.
Oh, I saw that video.
Right? Good. No. Secondly, next thing that people ain't really considering, right, is we looking at life with a short-sighted normalcy bias. We want to get back to normal so bad, we are willing to basically do anything. Not go and get the vaccine, just go and get the vaccine, because people have the mentality of once we get the vaccine, everybody get the vaccine, we can all be good, and things are gonna be normal, and everybody can vaccinate, and things are gonna be back to normal. Guess what? There's no back to normal. But anyhow, to put this on the table, to finalize what I'm saying here. When you remove choice by mandating vaccines, where does the buck stop? Because people ain't considering that. Where does the buck stop? When you mandate what I can put or have to put into my body to take part in society, socially, economically, or even financially in some form or fashion, if I want, do my own enterprise, I can still go interact with government regulators at some point. To do that, I have to have this particular government syndicated drug in my body or whatever. Where does the buck stop? Think about it. Where does the buck stop? When the greater good then determines in the future. All right, you got an extra, you got a kidney there. Essential Janelle over there, that is the head of state of St. Vincent right now to win a blood type match, and for the greater good, we manage that you got to give you one of your kidneys. It might sound far-fetched, no, but when you mandate medical interventions into people's life for participation in society in any form or fashion, where does the buck stop? We have to take that into consideration.
That was an interesting aspect.
Yeah, that's an interesting point for real. Cause
Yeah.
as you said, when you mandate something, it means that you open up the door for any possibilities within the medical jurisdiction. So that really and truly saying that most people will be laid back and like, what I gotta happen, man. Or if it happened, it ain't gonna happen to me. So that's where that issue does come. But I wanted to say something though. Because as usual, we just always watch what's be going on in the other countries of the world. But I noticed when the challenges, the reporters or the people who come on to shows and challenge what is happening in society, we don't get that information. Because I saw a guy stating that the vaccinated people are actually spreading specific variants at a higher rate and a faster rate than those that are unvaccinated. And but the person was backing it up by some research and these sorts of things in separate states. But yet again, that was information that was not widely spread because it does not fit in or coincide with the narrative that they want to paint. And that's what's be sickening for me, because if it is that you are telling us that something is for our own good, give us both sides of the conversation, and then we could go forward from there. But from the time that you want to hold on to one side and push the other side more so than the other, you're creating a situation that people are not making true informed decisions. and that in itself is detrimental to a society.
Censorship, ostracizing, and deplatforming censorship, ostracizing, and deplatforming any particular narrative that goes against an existing one. The people that are doing the censoring, ostracizing, and deplatforming, when you look back on history, have never ever proven to be the good guys. They have never ever proven to be the good guys. Anytime they're shutting down and saying misinformation, dangerous, we don't want that is bad for us as a society. History tells on the people who have done that always, and they have never been the good guys.
Listen, I was there sitting down thinking right about the fact that they want to talk about mandatory vaccinations. I got a couple ideas here. I want to tell me how I want to feel about it. I feel that we should have a mandatory assignments of taxes going to what they're created for. So you see, how we got a road tax, that there should be a mandatory assignment to fixing roads. I feel also that we should consider mandatory prison sentences along with heavy fines.
We used to have a road tax.
Right. Well, at the end of the day, that money can't be gone. For all the years that they was collecting, it can't be gone. So
it cannot be what?
No, the road tax is in the fuel. That's the whole thing. Is that money?
Still, but tax is still being
right. It's generated. Exactly. You still getting money.
It's still being taken from us.
Yes.
It just transformed from a one-time payment of every year to an infinite sort of that we just put out, because don't forget, Keita used one of the people that posted from April until June or July, that they met 14.7 million. So imagine that if all the road tax they used to collect in a year used to be 50 million. That means that before the year done, they're gonna be saying that then go on past out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So the reality is, I believe that those taxes should be going to what they're created for. And then they can also double down on this. Mandatory prison sentences along with heavy fines and permanent disbarment from any field that you're qualified in when you come into positions of power in government for personal gain. How about that for saying mandatory?
Oh, Jesus.
So if you get fighting fine, we can either lock you up, take away your good name, take away your habs, or we can chop off one of your hands. Which one you want?
that has not, and you see now this you think about this whole constitution thing, like what we get to talk about, because you know when I know that politics is my thing, right? That's the thing, right? In the States, when you hear somebody having some sort of sexual whatever with somebody else, they have to resign.
That's in New York.
That's
With
not
New York, right?
Cuomo, man. Cuomo gone. Cuomo resigned.
Pardon?
He fell from New York.
The man in New York.
Yes,
Yeah.
but right, and it's not
The
just
mayor
him.
saying,
Not just him. I mean, like you have had cases. You don't hear about all of them, but you will have a governor. That governor was at a party with a black face or something like that. He cannot run for mayor. You know, because you have so many things. Like when you do something, and that is built into their constitution, but with us, you could go out Tom, Dick, Harry, Jane, Joy. It don't matter. You could do whatever. It don't matter. You're the level of sentencing, prosecution, and like things. Everybody know the story of the different prime ministers over the 55 years that we have had. Everybody know the stories of this boy next thing. It don't matter. Everybody know that this body got the business on the hand and doing this and that. Everybody know that somebody friend. It don't matter. So I agree with you. But those are the things that we know should put in our constitution. That let me not start with that integrity bill neither. But before we touch that, I completely exactly what's that? Because if people don't turn up for the integrity for the thing to get passed, something that you're pushing for since 2015 or whatever, nobody don't turn up for it to get passed. 3 years into anywho, I digress. But I totally agree with you. But those are things that we have to raise. Those are things we have to raise. Like it should not. You are in power. You're in a position of authority or whatever. There should be some type of consequences for your actions when it goes against the law, the morals, the whatever of society. Whatever you have of society, if you go against, but nobody ain't checking. Nobody care. Chad. Or the state
there's no accountability for these things.
Like normal.
Yeah, but I can ask a question, right? I can ask a question. And it's a very thought-provoking question. What is the benefit, or what does a government get from or for keeping its promises to the people? What is the benefit of a government in maintaining good and balanced and fair governance? Really and truly, think about it. What do they get for that?
Yeah, we could look at it and say that there's no gain.
Then again,
no general sense of reward for our government maintaining
for good governance.
For their governance or their good.
You know, that's true. That's almost like a doctor being a curer, because then a benefit in me curing you.
Exactly.
Because then the money coming back home.
Poor governance requires governance. Just like crime requires police. Just like bad health requires doctors.
Yeah, because if they had a crime, we won't need for all these police or whatever.
Poor governance requires governance. So that's why
in a second term, it requires a second term.
The quarrel about the BLP and the BLP can quarrel about the DLP and round and around and around and around in a circle.
Yeah, because they need one there just as much as
exactly. The world is a stage.
It's all a cycle.
The world is a stage.
It's all a cycle.
When we realize that, we can stop.
They might have dropped some gems, right? That make you look up at your roof and just breathe out harder.
Governments have no incentive to govern well. None.
Wow.
Come in, get as much as you can from the public purse, and move on.
Get your 2 terms and secure your pension for sure.
Correct. And you know he's got something all the time. To look for. You know he's got something to look for all the time. I don't know how the panel, I know about EHD, I know how EHD feel. But I don't know how the panel feel about Donald Trump holistically. But I will say this. We all know Trump and his team and the acquisitions they made about the electronic voting and such. Right? I don't want. Let me not say too much, but let me say this: it is going to be very likely in Barbados in the next election that we are going to have electronic voting machines. You heard it here first.
This man is always come and say
you
something,
know,
and the man
heard it
don't
here
ever
first.
tell a lie, you know.
it's come to
This
be.
time,
You heard it here first.
whenever
Oh, yeah.
Tyrone the start, the only thing that missing that we ain't gonna get Allery to do is put that what that music the near no off of that alien picture, man. You know the name? You know,
X-Files.
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 We gotta get the X-Files behind you when you talking, boy. The man is just come and drop things and it's got me here like but this man never tell a lie. Yeah, he ain't tell a lie about gas prices. He ain't tell a lie about I ain't even want to say that word because I don't want it happen. I want you to be wrong there so that I can tell you that it was wrong. But you see the fact that we actually pushing for not we, but they are actually pushing for a republic. There's so many things behind that. As you said, poor governance requires governance, and there's a reason behind such a thing because superficially they will give it under the premise that boom, a person cannot do like what would have happened in the past with the honorable Lord the man name Owen Arthur.
Right.
He would have been the prime minister on more than 2 occasions. So it's like, yes, on that end, superficially, you can say that a person will come in, just like the Obamas, the Bidens, the Trumps, whatever, get 1 or 2 goals, and then they go. They're not coming
Right.
back.
That's not it, though, Chad. That's not even it. Chad, they are referring to the president who has no, who was in a ceremonial position. They're not referring to the head of government. The head of government, you could be prime minister once your party is in power. If your party wins 4 elections and your people of that party have you as the leader of the party, you can be prime minister for those 4 by 5, 20 years.
That's correct.
That's not going to change. What you mean? They're referring to a ceremonial president, Chad. They like was somebody who is getting positioned to them at 70, and then there's when they get to 76, 77, it's like, all right, tired of this here. But not Sandra Mason, she's young and stuff like that. But yeah, name me that Chad. I want to have a discussion about this Republic thing though, but
Yeah, we can go through that probably next week. But so,
yeah.
they had some big
wrap up.
bassa about that there, and had something where representatives that were on this committee for Republic got some UE intellectuals that were criticizing them very, very harshly about their actual knowledge, and it was very, 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 very interesting to read the article. It seemed like they didn't even know what they were talking about. Actually, 2 people that were on the show were Dr. Miriam Williams, who was the former head of the central bank under the Barbados Labour Party. Shockingly, she's on the Constitution Committee. Shockingly, of course, she's not controlled at all. And I think Adrian Green. I don't know if it's Adrian Green, the guy that's doing the spoken word. I don't know if it's actually him, but and a guy called Adrian Green. So it was him. Okay.
Yes.
And 2 of them were giving a lot of misinformation, apparently, based on the information that were coming from these UE intellectuals, and they were saying how they didn't actually know what they were talking about, and it's just showing that the committee is not fit for purpose and that kind of thing. So it's definitely a discussion that needs to be had.
My students can sit on that committee and be able to tell you the facts when it comes to all of the questions that they would have been asked. They want I teach because that's what I teach. That's the curriculum for me to teach the students about. Okay, if you want to hear though the truth, the facts, etc., y'all can look out for a virtual town hall meeting, not held by the government. This is held by the same persons, the same UE intellectuals on Sunday at 5:30. Y'all can hit me up for more information. But Barbados Republic. And the same Cynthia Bargels, Ronnie.
Yeah, she was one. Yeah,
right, right. Because she would have been my lecturers and stuff. And that's the thing is that you have these things happening. You have all of this. I following the science and we can hear what the professionals have to say, and something like this here, you don't consult with the professionals, you don't consult with the ones who actually know what's going on, you don't consult with your main, you pushing regional integration. You mean that the only thing that we can be regionally integrate on, as Chad would have said a few weeks ago, is vaccinations. That's the only thing. You got UE, you got all these people at UE there, so you ain't using them? Really? That's what you're telling me? And that's why so much misinformation is out there, because nobody is coming out there, one, with facts, or two, with the truth. Or with information, period. So you come in, you talking, you stumbling all over your words or whatever, and they supposed to believe you? That's why people can run with all the different voice notes and things with a whole lot of misrepresentation on what the thing is all about. And we think one way, but this it changing that glorious. I'm for Republic, but another Charlie is out. Stop me, man. Charlie gotta stop me.
I listen to what you're saying, because all of you saying makes sense. The thing is, where's the true transparency and all that, but then we can get deeper into more discussions, because everything just becoming a game of the superficial. You just give enough to create a narrative in the minds of the average person to run with, as opposed to actually giving the hard facts and figures and stats and statistics that we need in order to create that true understanding of what is really going on. But we gonna have to see if we could bring up that discussion for the Republic for next week. As usual, people, we are very grateful to have you here with us each and every Thursday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Big up Keita, big up Tyrone, big up Janelle, big up the sponsors. That would be big up the right here. So like my head, I still thinking about what you talk, cause I talking about maybe want how to see people at the same time, and it's still sticking in my head. I gotta compose myself about that, cause I can't believe that it would still be the same foolishness. So anyhow,
sorry, Chad.
I know that is. So
yeah.
Big up Trident Cuts Barber Studio, HB Entertainment, Barely Sober Entertainment, C-Bell. We are thankful. Big up Keldor, aka Skeletor, for asking that question tonight. Jump in the DMs of Allery Media Productions on Instagram, because I don't know if whatever your IG is, if you could post it in here before we close down, post it so that Allery could reach out to you. Anybody who wants to do or follow the line that Keldar is going down, we are grateful. We have our hands out. Like if we asking for conquerors, we are appreciative of that. So feel free to always slide in the DMs. Anything that you guys want to talk about that is still on the table. Let us know what you want to talk about, what topics there, so that on your mind tingling that you may not be sure about, that you want discussed, so that we can have the forum about it. Let me make it happen. Give thanks as usual. We are appreciative. We love you. We appreciate you. And tell the people, Thursday night, 8 p.m. on YouTube is the place to be. The Up Inside Your podcast. We do it the best. We ain't got no award, but we do it the best though.
We don't need the award. We who is to know will know, and everybody will know eventually.
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah.
Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. The episodes are going to be available on YouTube even after we've gone off the live. So if you thought that the episode was a great episode, find the episode, put it in your group chat, share it with your friends. We appreciate it.
Yeah, good night, folks.
Good night, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much.
For coming through. For sure. Good night.